And now it's time for a Star Trek story.
I've heard this thrown around, Aaron, and tell me if I'm wrong, if you haven't heard this. I've often heard Star Trek described as a family show.
A show about family?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't hear everyone describe it as such, but it is one of those things that it's thrown around a lot. Star Trek's a family show. Star Trek's a family show. Yeah. People working on it describe Gina, it's a family show. It's a family show. It's a show about families. It's a show for the families.
A show for all ages? Sure. Let's say that.
Yeah. So if this is the case, this is what we're looking into today. So if this is the case, what about Star Trek makes it a family show, Aaron?
Severe lack of the F word, I think, and up until very recently in Picard.
Okay, no F-bombs. Well, we'll see if this episode gives us any insights as to what makes Star Trek show a family show, if it is one. Welcome to Star Trek Stories, everyone. This is episode 18, Haven. Haven. Is this our first one-word title? Might be. Haven. As always, I am your illustrious host, Jaron Hatch, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Aaron Cole. Hello, Aaron.
Hi, Jaron. How are you doing this fine Sunday?
Now good. We just spent the last little bit trying to figure out how to make this setup work. This is our first remote podcast episode where we have a remote guest with us today, and we were ill prepared for how it was all going to work. So
probably could have taken 30 minutes at some point during the week. I kind of forgot about Tuesday that our guest was going to be remote. Could have taken a look at that. Zoom is the way to go.
We are in the middle of our look at the growing pains of the next generation. Last time we watched Hide and Q, where I think we had a good time with our good friends Q and Jake Barnes. Today, we have the last of the Hatch siblings with us on the show. Probably the person I've known longer than anyone except my parents. My brother, Kai Hatch. Hello, Kai.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Yes, the last of the Hatch siblings. So this is kind of fun because not only are you one of my siblings, but also we were all kind of roommates together for a while. So Aaron has a little bit of lived experience with Kai as well.
With the Hatch Bros.
So I've said this before on the podcast, but you and I don't have a first memory of Star Trek like some people do. Like, it was just always there. TOS and TNG were playing since we were infants, and so it was always a thing. And I think for you, it's a similar kind of thing. There is no first memory.
Yeah, I don't really recall any one particular instance of like when it was introduced or something. It's just like you said, it was always something that's just always been there, and something we were always either watching or talking about. Not necessarily just between you and me, but also our parents. They were talking to their friends at work about it. They were talking to us about it and stuff like that. So I think it was just something that was just always present.
For sure. And something what's been interesting to me over the years is, for reasons we won't really go into too much at all, but we don't really talk with our parents a whole lot. But on the occasions that I do, oftentimes Star Trek comes up, and that's kind of what we talk about, Star Trek. And with you, Kai, without getting too much in the weeds on this, but say, for example, you and I are on different, we agree on some things, but you and I are on different ends of a political spectrum. You're more on of a libertarian. I'm more of a leftist. We don't agree on everything, but there's still this kind of shared language of Star Trek where we can kind of come together and even like talk about things using Star Trek as like a shared medium. Would you say that feels accurate to you?
Yeah, I mean, because the nature of Star Trek is all about, the human experience, about humans, how they live, how they perceive things and stuff. And very very definitely throughout Star Trek as a franchise, the one of the main points is always, how do these different groups of people come to compromise, or how do they interact with each other? First contact with other species, is an obvious example. And there are things that need to be discussed and hashed out, and there's all sorts of various diplomatic uh, avenues that have to be taken care of, and so that can get applied to our reality, uh, when talking to other people or engaging in interpersonal relationships and stuff like that, because so many things in Star Trek are relatable intrinsically. A lot of that carries over into conversations that you can have with other people who may not necessarily agree on certain viewpoints of things, but you can use that as a common ground, and a basis, to at least start a discussion or even continue a discussion. Yeah, so I think that's very applicable.
I wonder if this is part of what people are talking about when Star Trek is a family show, is that it's almost like going to Sunday school in a way where but in a non-religious way, it's like the whole family can gather around, and and friends too, but adults and kids can come together, and there's always this, not always, but what did we learn today? And you're almost kind of getting these kind of secular humanist fables, or it's almost like Bible stories, but for secular humanism is almost what Star Trek stories are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now the parable of Picard and the flute.
And now the episode with Tiny Riker.
Yeah, so I wonder if that's, and please chime in, Kai. And we'll talk more about this when we come back, but Star Trek being a family show, I wonder if to some degree that's kind of what people are talking about.
Yeah, my only initial thought on that is that, what you guys were just saying about, bringing people together. I think what it does is that levels it levels the playing field. It doesn't matter, race, your age, your background, your knowledge. It doesn't all of those things, when actual Star Trek people get down and start discussing things, all of that goes out the window, and everyone just gets distilled down to just, a person, a human, and it's like bypassing all of the craft that people have built up over the years. A lot of that gets taken off, and it's a lot easier to focus on, the core things that really, I think, all of the things that people actually want.
Yeah.
And so it's a good tool of, mediation, kind of, to facilitate communication about people, and I think that's why I wouldn't say it's a family show of, oh yeah, let's go sit down and watch the new Disney cartoon. It's a family show in the sense of, I think in general it can be used for all ages, but it's a family show in that, um, the family is, kind of like the lowest denominator for, just human existence. That's your closest circle of people that um, and so I would say that watching Star Trek is, because it's applicable so widely across human life in general, but the family is kind of like that microcosm of just life. If like you were to distill all the people on the earth down, you would probably distill it down into a family. This unit of different viewpoints, but we're all kind of connected still. Um, and so I think that's why it works on kind of the more higher level of a family show, but also on the lower level of a show, where maybe this family is on, say, all different political spectrums or something, but in the tunnel vision view, they can all talk together about Star Trek and the concepts they're in, but it can also get applied to, you could say the human family in general. And so if you take the phrase a family show, I think then it works for Star Trek. Not necessarily as, this is what I'm going to do with my small kids. There's too many levels to Star Trek where you could get into like full depth like that, like any other sort of classical cartoon or Pixar kids movie or something like that.
It does a great job of exploring relationships, and all the characters are so diverse. Star Trek really shows that struggle of these evolved, quote unquote, humans, like dealing with their instincts, yet still like finding diplomatic solutions with these diverse cultures from all over the galaxy. Yeah, it really speaks to human struggle here on Earth, just in that once removed science fiction-y way.
And no F-bombs.
None, not one. But it shows, how to communicate effectively and honestly as a family unit, potentially, because these people have to work together as a work family. Then they have to exist together as a off-the-clock family as well, seeing each other on the ship 24/7. Humans have a way, and I guess aliens and all beings have a way of finding a way to just put all that great culture and diversity aside and bring the work to the table and get the job done. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Interesting answers. Well, I guess it's time to see how early TNG does with its establishing itself as a family show. So let's get into it. And once again, this is going to be Haven we're watching today. This aired November 30th, 1987.
87?
Yep. This is the fifth episode produced for the first season, so this is still a pretty early one for TNG. This is the first appearance of Loxana Troi in the Star Trek franchise. So far, we've had a recurring adversary or two. I think this might be our first recurring non-adversary character that we'll be coming across. Loxana Troi is, of course, Deanna Troi's mom, and played by the First Lady of Star Trek, Majel Barrett Roddenberry, also known as Nurse Chapel, also known as Number One, also known as the Enterprise Computer, and also known as Gene Roddenberry's wife.
She's getting paid.
So the big question with the episode, how well do they do introducing the character of Loxana Troi? She is a franchise character, not just a Next Generation character. And how do they do setting up the idea of family dynamics in Star Trek? Does family storytelling work in Star Trek? We'll see when we come back. This is your invitation to watch at home. Star Trek The Next Generation is streaming on Paramount Plus. You can find it by bringing up Season 1, Episode 11. We will be back after watching Haven.
Wyatt seems a fine young man.
Yes, he does. But I'm not what he expected.
I don't understand.
Neither do I. But I'm definitely a surprise of some sort to him. I should warn you, sir. My mother is a little eccentric.
Where is everyone?
Oh, I hate that. Hello, Mother.
No, don't say it. Think it. Use your mind, not your mouth.
Hello, Mother.
Diana, shame. What has this life done to you?
No. Don't tell me. You're the captain.
Of course, your daughter has explained your telepathic abilities.
Now, that wasn't telepathy. It was just common sense. Who else would they send to greet me but the captain? Oh, you may carry my luggage.
Mother?
No, that's quite all right. I'm indebted to your mother for the fine counselor she... This way.
Well, speaking of Alaska, should we talk about Haven?
What? What's the
For
connection
some,
on
you
that?
know, for some, Alaska is quite the haven.
Ah,
yeah,
yes.
quite the Haven.
It's
Yeah,
the Wild
yeah.
West in a lot of ways still.
Yes.
We always talk about initial thoughts. First, Kai, initial thoughts.
My initial thoughts was it was actually, I mean, I know that Haven is one of, like, people would consider it part of the quote bad Star Trek episodes. And I haven't seen it. I think I've seen it maybe only once or twice in my entire life, but it was at least 15 years ago, probably longer than that. Um, and I actually liked it better than I remembered.
In what way?
I think it's probably just viewpoint and stuff. So I think Lakshmana Troy is a case in point of this because people see her and they just think, wow, this is just the worst, most annoying, poorly written character forever. Um, if you don't have a lot of experience and stuff like that, maybe if you're younger, you just think, oh, this woman is so dumb. Like,
Yeah,
why
let's
is
get
she?
back to the pew-pews and the
Yeah,
aliens and the cool
yeah,
stuff.
exactly. But I think the older I've become now, and a lot of my other viewpoints that I've discussed earlier, but looking at her now, um, you kind of think, I can actually almost, I don't know if relate's the right word, but I can definitely understand her a lot more. She obviously still is just like, she loves just being the center of attention and jabbing everyone and trolling everyone and stuff like that. But there's always going to be people that are like that. But if you think about it more critically, about her character, uh, she has extremely strong character just from sitting or just from seeing her beam in initially. Um, you pr like all of her depth, all of her breadth, everything. It's like you can already know what's gonna happen. Like you already know what's gonna happen, but it's not in a sense of like, well, she's not curious anymore, or like she's not interesting anymore. But it's like you know what to expect, and now this is like it gives you some constraints to learn about going forward. And so it's actually thinking about all of Star Trek now. It's kind of a fun journey that you take learning with her if you actually just give her essentially give her a chance or whatever. Um, and so there's a lot more depth underneath the like initial annoyance or whatever. And so watching this episode was essentially that's what I was thinking the whole time. So maybe it's kind of apt that this is her introductory episode, but if you kind of take this episode at first glance, um, and you watch it, I can see where, the stereotypical response of, oh, this is bad Star Trek, this is dumb, this is boring. Um, but there's a lot of themes in this episode. I mean, if I think if they had more time, I guess the concept material that I noticed is stuff that would need to get spread over multiple episodes, multiple seasons. You know, it's so core to just interacting with humans on a very base level. Um, because like humans are social creatures, and we need interaction as much as people say they don't or whatever, but like we live in a social society, and we need that, and how to deal with that is like one of the most primary things that life is about, coming back to like the humanism thing. It's like how do you interact with people that necessarily you don't agree with, or uh, don't see eye to eye on, and it can go various ways. You can fight about it, you can try and talk about it, or just ignore each other, and you kind of saw all of these concepts throughout the entire episode, based on, I guess exemplified by different characters. Picard just dealt with it. He's like, okay, I'm not gonna give this woman any more ammunition to work with, and just deal with it. The parents of uh what's the dude's name?
Teabag.
Yeah, yeah, Teabag from Prison
Prison
Break.
Break.
Yeah.
Wyatt is the
Yeah, Wyatt.
character's
Yeah, Wyatt.
name.
Yeah. So Wyatt's parents, they're like super combative. They're the super combative aspect. Data is like super intrigued.
Oh yeah.
Troy is obviously the most distraught. Uh, and then I guess the rest of the crew, like Riker and Yar and stuff, they're kind of amused by it. They're not, they get to observe the train wreck without having to be involved in it. And so there was all of these different use cases that you can relate to directly just in day-to-day life of, just from this one character that seemingly is annoying and shallow and stuff. But if you go back to that episode, she's definitely the like the glue, or like the focal point of that entire episode. Because her character is presented as so strong already. um she can be used as a mechanism to grow characters on the rest of the show.
She's more
um
like a rogue wave or a hurricane that
yeah,
forces everybody to like deal with their shit around
right,
her. Right.
right. And it just takes everyone back to, being a human again. And so one thing that I really liked about this episode is, like you said, let's get back to the pew pew and the aliens and stuff like that, but this episode really brings Star Trek back down to, the starting point of, just how do we communicate with people? How do we interact with people? I mean, there's so many different dynamics in this episode on a people level. There's, like Troy and her mom from, child parent perspective. There's marriage, then there's work and versus family relationships. There's the whole plot with the alien ship and the planets. There's just like so many different interactions happening in this episode at once. It was a lot deeper than I remembered. Maybe things that you only think about when you're trying to think about something critically, or if you're older or whatever. So all of that being said, that's why I was more pleasantly surprised watching it. As on the surface, it's such a shallow kind of throwaway episode. It's like, oh yeah, the gimmicks and the ha-has, whatever. But if you actually think about it, there's a lot of core human Star Trek concepts that are presented, whether directly or indirectly. And so I really like that.
Aaron, initial thoughts on
Oh,
Haven?
geez. How do you follow that? Man, what is with Troy's uniforms? What is with Troy's character? What is with Troy? What is with Troy? So many questions.
I don't know.
Just the one question, really. The captain kind of just seemed aloof and almost like he wanted to hide in this episode. He did not look like he was having fun. Maybe he was sick or something. Yeah, tying it back to family, the original question, it seems like maybe they fell back on some classic tropes because they had to. So they just made it like a little family drama episode with a little forbidden love in there as a twist. Is it Lwaxana or Laxwana? Lwaxana?
Lwaxana.
Lwaxana.
LW.
Lwaxana.
Lwaxana.
Troy. What a character. What, yeah. And Mrs. Roddenberry, ex-Mrs. Roddenberry. What a force to be reckoned with in the Star Trek universe. She just pops up everywhere. And she's so great every time. Especially as Troy. Like, this character is just so over the top. It reminds me of my grandma Sherry a lot. Just talking to everybody and having her opinion. And my grandma was much friendlier than Troy was, but was very outspoken like this.
Certainly her most memorable character, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you like her or not, certainly the most memorable.
What is this episode even about?
That's kind of my feeling on it. Is I think this episode is, I don't know, academically interesting, like in theory. I just don't think it goes anywhere. Or I think Kai is right in when you say there's so many like themes and ideas that this can bring up.
Like lots of little things that could go somewhere and drive it forward, but they never really take it any of those directions. Yeah, but there is a ton in there to unravel and to think about. But what is it about? Family?
Family?
Is it about family, Jaron? Tell me. Tell me the answer.
I like it's. There's a lot of little nitpicky things you could do about this one for certain. And throughout the whole episode, I think we were laughing at lots of little elements about it. I think fundamentally for me, where it falls apart is like the last act or so. Because most of the story has been about, up to this point, the conflict and tension between Deanna and Wyatt, and then Riker, like being connected to Troy and how he feels, and then Deanna's mom, and then Wyatt's parents, like about this wedding that no one's really sure about, but everyone's going through with, and it's looking at family obligation and professional obligation or whatever, which is a fine. I don't know if the execution is amazing, but it's interesting. But then the last act and a half is when it just really just turns into suddenly Wyatt's story of here's my destiny, which has nothing to do with anything else. And it feels just like such a short change of an ending. It's like nothing actually got resolved in this. He goes off to his little spaceship where people are essentially worshiping him. It feels like Gene Roddenberry's inner 14-year-old was like, wouldn't it be awesome if yeah, I guess I'm like engaged to this really hot girl. I'm only kind of into her, but you know what? You're beautiful. You're just not my literal dream girl that I've, drawn pictures about and I love. But that's okay. You're cool and you're beautiful. Like you're incredibly beautiful, I guess. But then it's like, guess what, Wyatt? Your dream woman literally exists. And not only that, like they're on a spaceship where there's like 8 other people who they all apparently like have been waiting for you. They're drawing pictures about you. And it's like, goodbye, my family obligations. Goodbye, everything. I'm off to go live with my little harem worship spaceship. And, and it's this adolescent fantasy come true. That's the note the episode ends on. And I feel like it shortchanges, even if you weren't crazy about it, it just shortchanges everything the episode had been about up to this point. And they just kind of play it off with this one little quick scene of Troy like, oh, by the way, Wyatt, everything's all connected and it's awesome. Go do it. Thanks, Troy's mom. It's such a weird, I feel like, cop-out. And then it's like, well, I guess I can stay with the ship. All right. Well, to our next destination.
Picard just has no problem. It's like, let's just move on, please. Anything else? Starbase for repairs? Anyone? Can we watch the news?
Whatever the hell that was, it ended up meaning nothing.
It was a non-issue.
So I just feel like it all falls flat in the end. Because the climax has nothing to do with anything the episode has been about up to this point. So for me, it's a little frustrating in that any potential like themes and ideas, because I like the idea of all these weird family and professional obligations all getting mixed up, and just like you say, Kai, this human drama that's playing out. It just ends on a completely different note that has nothing to do with anything. And it's just such a weird choice for me. I don't know. So I guess for me, it's like things are in conflict. So, but I think academically and in theory, the fact that the show takes a statement of the personal lives of the people on this ship is going to be a big driving force for the episode. That's interesting.
It's about the stuff, but it's also about people. You guys, it's about the people. Orville does a great job of that, making the show about the characters. Very human drama.
I did have one other thing though. Oh, it was what you were saying, Jaron, about it falling flat. My take on the last act is, I mean, this whole episode started with this random thing that came out of nowhere. Like Troy's randomly starting to get married now, and you were saying this while we were watching that, how come Riker didn't know about this? Aren't they supposed to be like Imzadi, like tied to the hip, kind of thing? Like he had no idea about this. And so, but if you think about, I mean, so the episode was already starting on dubious footsteps from that perspective. But my take was that in life there are, well, I guess it can be best summed up as, what's that phrase? Facts are stranger than fiction. Whatever that quote is.
Yeah.
Truth is stranger than fiction.
Truth is stranger than fiction. And so, I just know that if you ask anyone, if you say, everyone's had experiences where just, the randomest things have happened, like the things that people can dream up in fiction are so much more convenient and kind of smoothed out, but in real life, the most random things that you would not think about happening happen for some reason, even though it seems like that they shouldn't. Even things as mundane as, I was at this intersection and I dropped something, and and I was distracted for just a second, and somehow that helped me miss a car crash that happened right in front of me or something. There are these, that's a really small, like the smallest end of the spectrum of examples, but there are things that just randomly happen, and so it's not totally odd to feel like, hey, this person just dropped a message on me and I didn't even expect this. That's Troy getting like her wedding gifts, and at the end, with Wyatt going off with the people on the bubblegum ship, there it's like I would have, for your, even with your best planning, there are still just random things that you just can't account for, and that just happens all the time through life. We probably don't see them all the time, but from a people, like, if I was to put myself into Data's shoes and talk about this episode, it's like, well, these things actually happen. I've had people who, were going on one path and something totally changed and they, just went into some totally different direction, that no one would have foreseen or no one would have, guessed or planned or whatever, and so when I saw the start of this episode and the conclusion, it did seem like that they kind of came together, the like leading randomness with Troy's marriage with the end randomness of the guy going off, but those things happen. Truth is stranger than fiction. So it's like, oh, I can totally relate to this.
I think for me it's and certainly some of this is just speaking like in a storytelling sense. And yet, like, stuff like that like happens. I don't know about like your literal dream girl coming to life. But
No, every day.
every day. Yeah, but weird things happen, but I'm like, for a story, and stories mean something different to everyone. To me, some of like what's interesting and important about a story is, especially a story with characters, is that we see and interpret meaning through the interactions and choices of the characters. Rather than just like saying something or just something just happening, it's like it's the interplay and between people and the decisions between and the choices that people make. I think that's what helps. Like, yeah, and if I'm in a situation like this, what should I do? And it's like, well, it's possible if you get caught up in a situation like this, some random thing just might happen. I'm like, well, that might happen, but like that's probably not what's going to happen. But even if that, like, it's kind of his thing where like he never really makes any choice about anything. Everything just happens to him. And sure, things just happen to us, but I think from a storytelling point of view, I'm like, I think it's important to see characters making choices based on interaction. I mean, he chooses to go over there, but of course he's going to go over there. I just feel like everything is just kind of that is just handed to this character, and he never actually has to deal with the situation at hand. How do I deal with my family? And then his dream girl shows up and just pulls them all away. And it's like, but that's not going to happen for most people. And it's like, if they set up the situation of like, how do you deal with your family in a situation like this, and just kind of pull out the rug from under you? It's just kind of like, well, hopefully that happens. But if that doesn't happen, how do I resolve a situation like this?
Well, I think we're talking I think we're actually agreeing. It's just that I'm on a lot of, or pretty much everything that I've said in this podcast so far is I'm talking from the extreme. Like, I agree that this episode, if you zoom in to like the 10-foot level, it's just like, what is happened here? This is all very janky. As a concrete use case, none of this works. From in the context of the episode as itself, as a production, in line with TNG and trying to develop these characters for this new TV show. I totally agree with you that it's like this was some sort of weird janky execution. I'm not exactly sure what they were trying here, but so you're on like the very concrete end, but I'm looking at my version is looking at this from the like 10 light year version, where I'm not even in the atmosphere of Earth. I'm just way looking at that, just kind of like really squinting to see what's going on here.
That's the light from Earth 4 million years ago.
yeah. So if you do that, then I think you'll probably be able to see where I'm coming from. But then if I zoom in and just land boots on the ground, then I totally agree with you. It's like, oh man, what is happening? Why is Riker on the rock in the holodeck? This makes no sense. This is all very dumb for all the characters. This really doesn't do a whole lot. Why is this bubblegum ship here? I totally agree.
I think even though some people would disagree, Major Barrett as Waxana saves it from being a complete waste of time, I think. Just because even if you don't like her, it's like she got a lot more personality than still most of the cast at this point.
Without her, it's like a school play drama or something.
Yeah.
Just,
I would, yeah.
Yeah, she brings just a lot of... She's still got with that TOS bombastic theater, like you just said. Like, she's very big in her movements, and they're all so kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say stiff, but they are kind of stiff still at this point.
And she just gives 0 Fs. 0 Fs.
We should bring up real quick, we did ask when we're watching this, Loxana a couple times brings up, oh, yes, Captain, of course you're attracted to me. Oh, my old valet, he had pornographic thoughts about me. Oh, like the father-in-law, he thinks about me naked all the time too. And the question we had was, is she just fucking with people, or is she actually being truthful?
Somewhere in Picard's thoughts, he's got a dirty mind for Troy's mom.
I kind of feel like she exaggerates, but she doesn't ever strike me as a liar. I feel like to some degree, in every case of like, oh, you're attractive, she is, and they mention it, like, she's quite an adept telepath, even among betazoids. And I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if she's just pulling on something, a kernel of like,
and looking at Picard's mommy issues in season 2
of Picard, yeah,
they deconstruct. It's like, yeah, that tracks. That totally tracks.
Do you think at the end, like when she's like, Jean-Luc, even Vigo didn't have such thoughts about me, and you see just how pissed off he is, do you think he's just having thoughts of like, if I could just put you in leather and bend you over and take this whip and it's this BDSM thing, like, oh, Troy's mom, fuck you.
No, I think that's Patrick Stewart thinking like me, like, what is this episode about? Why am I here?
He even literally says in this episode, I am not amused. I'm like, yeah, actually this whole episode, Picard does not seem amused by anything.
He's in a rotten mood, so's Riker.
Oh, Riker is very just, this whole episode. Meh.
I was having such a good day with my digital maidens.
Oh my, yeah, his little holographic, what are they doing? Just playing like harps or whatever?
And admiring him. They have the admire face. My wife makes that face when I do the dishes. I get the admire face.
I actually thought that I actually wondered if one of those two women on the holographic display was actually the what was that woman's name? The title of the planet woman? She had some weird name.
Oh, Electra Ryan. Electra Ryan?
Yeah, is that a title or is that her actual title at plus name or
I'd have to look it up. Part of me just likes the idea that her name was Electra Ryan.
I thought she was actually one of those people on there. Maybe he had like a little gift from like Haven merchandise shop or something, and I don't know. But I was like, is that the same person?
I thought it was like Elector Ryan when you.
Elector. That would make more sense than Electra.
Carmen Electra. It's Carmen.
this is one of only 2 episodes where Commander Riker is called Bill.
Whoa.
Yeah. She says Bill. Hey, Bill here, and she says that one other. There was one other time in the series she says it, but that's it. Bill Riker. It's the only time we see the official dining room of the Enterprise D, at least in its like full mock-up. That whole dinner scene, it's not temp forward where they usually do those scenes. That's the ship's dining room.
Yeah, they weren't coming in the big side doors. They were coming in from a normal passenger door.
I think you kind of see this set again, but kind of being used in a different context. This is the only time you ever see it being used as like the official dining room. Aaron, this goes back to when we watched The Last Outpost. I don't know if you noticed, but the face on the wedding box belongs to Armin Shimmerman, the actor who plays Quark.
No.
And this episode was filmed before The Last Outpost, so that is his first official Star Trek appearance.
You humans are so easily fooled.
Kind of fun how he's really early in Next Gen and then comes back years later in Deep Space Nine.
That's amazing. The silver box face is Quark. That's so fucking funny.
Mm-hmm. We also get to see Mr. Home for the first time. who has his only line of dialogue in this episode. Thanks for the drinks.
This is the only episode?
That's
Yeah,
it.
It's the only time he speaks.
Oh my gosh, man, I do not remember. Why is some of my remembrance on details are different?
That's that character, man. What a choice. If that's what we're going with. The super tall, pale dude that doesn't speak. That's exactly what we need for this character.
Her valet. Her big, tall, silent, alcoholic valet.
Maybe it's like water for his species. It's like, wow, hydrating.
Any other final thoughts on Haven? How do we feel this does as just generally setting itself? Is this a great showcase for Star Trek being a family show?
Just the giggle.
This is for the family. This is about the family. This is about nothing.
I would say that this episode in particular is a good showcase of family from an adult perspective, and nothing more.
Like dealing with family.
Yeah.
That ends up usually being the case when Deanna and her mom get together.
Yeah.
It's Deanna like, ugh, my mother's aboard again. She's always so bummed out about it.
Should also mention, they do mention her accent. They briefly talk about her accent in this episode.
Oh, that's right. She
I
did.
missed it.
Yeah, so because clearly Loxana is just speaking in a regular American accent. And so it's like, oh, is that a Betazoid accent? And so they briefly mentioned that, but I guess that's what her dad sounded like.
Ah, okay, so that tracks. So that's fine.
But then when you see her dad later in the show, he's just a regular American guy. It's like, so in the end, where the hell does that voice come from?
So he's been living in Seattle for a while, so he lost the accent over time.
Well, Kai, thank you for being our first remote guest. It won't sound like this for you at home, but this was a much longer evening than it was originally scheduled for. But after getting all the technical stuff figured out, I think we finally put it all together.
Yeah, it's good.
And thank you for being our guinea pig. And for, this is probably as good as any kind of thoughts can possibly be on Haven. Is what we've talked about.
Yeah. If someone has some deeper thoughts on Haven, I would like to hear.
let's just throw them up in the Discord.
We had a TED talk on Haven. Do you?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, exactly.
24/7 Haven content.
Welcome to Haven Stories. Today we're watching episode 219, Haven.
Haven. Yeah. Oh boy.
All right. Well, our journey into the growing pains of the next generation continues next time with The Big Goodbye. The Big Goodbye. This is going to be our first dedicated holodeck episode.
Yeah.
Or more accurately, our first holodeck gone wrong episode, which quickly becomes its own weird subgenre of
Right.
of Star Trek. The holodeck goes wrong.
Should these be aboard star vessels? Probably not.
There's lots of time that goes by between all those stars. You got to do something.
I guess.
Go into super VR world.
Create your own universe.
Oh, man. Yeah, look forward to watching that one, and we will have a new friend on for that one as well. Aaron, thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me, Jaron.
And we'll do this again, and hopefully we'll have some more remote guests going forward. Friends here and friends, all of you out there.
Abroad.
All right, we'll see you all next time. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to share us your own Star Trek story, you can email us at storiedstartrek@gmail.com, or you can visit our Discord server. You can find us by clicking on the link in the show description.